the geometry creation and in-place families, and that was a different way of creating geometry for families, whereas using the massing tools in Building Maker, you're still creating geometry, but it's larger and it's a different process. So we'll be looking at that process, and I'll show you one or two differences, or a few differences between them. So like I said, massing tools and the Building Maker. We're going to be starting this. We're going to be looking at massing families, which you can create and use. There's some pre-made families that we'll have a look at. You can also do some in-place massing in a project. There's also a massing environment on its own, conceptual massing environment. We'll have a look at that as well. And we'll also touch upon contextual modeling. So that would be terrain and surrounding buildings and foliage around your building. We'll be touching on that as well. Geometry forms are scaled up to define building concepts for quick analysis. So you can mock up building geometry quite quickly using the massing forms. So you can, here's an example of combining different shapes into another shape along a path. And you can also perform analysis of defined building, which you can compare to each other. Predefined massing families, which can be loaded and combined with simple geometric forms. So you can load in, Revit comes with a good few different predefined forms. We'll look at the library, it has a number of them, and you can bring them in and place them where you need them. And there's families, you can flex them, get shapes that you want from them, and yeah, we'll have a quick look at that. I'm just going to go to level 0 in the project browser. I'm going to you see this button up here in the contextual massing panel in the massing and site tab. This button here, if we click, see a drop down, we have show mass by view settings and show mass form and floors, and you can see it says displays mass forms and any mass floors you have specified in all views. That's the important bit. Massing elements in all views, because it's turned off by default in Revit, and switch them on by going to this button and clicking this button here. Also, if you just click in place massing, Revit actually switches on the visibility of massing within that view. And I'm just after creating it there, so I can start creating massing now, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go back to where I was, massing and site. Actually, I'm going to insert. So insert, I'm going to load a family. I have to click here, US metric. For some reason, I'll go back into my UK file. There's empty, so I just go back into US metric, which has pretty similar. So here, massing in this family library, you can see we have a few predefined shapes that we can load in. So I could just load in an arch. I'll just load in that arch now. It's loaded, but it's not ready to place. Now I have to go to component and place component. Okay, so show you that when I clicked insert and then load family, I wasn't actually ready to place it. I had to go to architecture, then component, place component, and the last component you loaded into Revit, that's the component that's going to be activated when you go to place it. And you see it's quite big. That's because it's actually it's a massing element, so it's more towards the size of buildings as opposed to So if I just place that there, we're actually in level 0, so we're actually cutting through this, to site, and we're actually looking down upon it now. So I'm just going to go to a 3D view here. This has been loaded in, and excuse me. I'm just going to open this out. When I select this, I have dimensions that I can work with, so that we could change the width from 9 meters to 20 meters if we wanted, and it brings it out 20 meters. And we could have a look at this in plan, and we can see that it has made them out, and we can just bring these back in. Just grab these and bring the handles back in to reshape this. So that's just a quick example. You can load in families into a project, massing families into a project. So I'll just delete that. Massing families. So the create form tool chooses the most appropriate creation method. So you can draw in an outline or draw a profile, and then draw another profile on a different plane, and then do them and tell Revit to automatically create that form. Now this differs from the way you were using them last week. You were drawing a profile and then drawing another profile on the same plane. Then within the tool, you're telling Revit to that this circle, let's say, this circle would be 500 mil up above here. Now you weren't drawing it up above there. You were only telling the tool that this profile was going to be above the square, and then Revit would join them up. And the difference between the way that creation form works and the way the massing creation form works is you actually draw on the plane. So this square is on level 1, and the circle is drawn on level 2. So that's a pretty big difference between the two. I'll just go into and I'm just going to create an in-place model, and I'll just show you quickly. So you remember this from last. I'm just going to quickly get into a generic model, and you can see the way the menu changes. So I'm just going to do a blend. So a blend from one shape to another. I'm going to use a square-ish rectangle and a circle, and this circle is in the middle. And I want to tell this blend between these two shapes to be, let's say, 5 meters. Okay. Now, if I go to look at this in 3D, the same plane, they're on the exact same plane. But then when I actually just go back into that, and I have to actually draw edit top to go onto the top. I click in this, and I draw my circle again. Okay, now I'm going to go to the 3D view. Like I said, the two of them are on the same plane, but then when I click finish, you can see it pops, it puts the top one up like that. Okay, so that's the way in-place family geometry works, which differs. So we're just going to cancel out of. I'm going to go to massing, and I'm going to click on in-place massing. I'm going to go to level 1 first. On level 0, I'm going to click on in-place massing. I don't want to save, and I'll just call this example. To draw another rectangle here. That blue outline is just indicating where the plane is, the plane that we're drawing on. Okay, so now I'm going to go to level 2. I'm going to draw another rectangle there, and now if I go to 3D view, you can see now they are apart from each other. I can select the two of them, create form, and then it creates an actual form between them two. So the difference was I was actually drawing on a plane, as opposed to telling the tool what distance to make it. Excuse me. So we're looking at looking at that. So we created a shape using the massing tool, which, like I said, is you're actually drawing on a plane. Okay, and just go to the next slide. So then change the shapes that you create by using the edges and nodes and clicking on them and dragging them. So if I go to my 3D view, I can actually edges and faces and push and pull this. I just have to just there, dragging up the bottom surface there. So you can, and then you can actually select an edge as well, and you can push and pull that edge to whatever shape you need it to be. That's very handy too. And then finally, you can click on an actual edge, like an actual point, as opposed to an edge, to refine it further. Okay, and that. Okay, freeform shape creation. So rather than starting upfront with 3D form, is required to draw a 2D shape form using line work, and you can do that simply enough. I can go back to my level 1, just click on the rectangle. I'm just going to draw a rectangle there. I'm going to go into 3D. I'm going to click on that and then click create form, and it creates a simple object for me there. I'm just going to I just mentioned there about you can rotate. So just show you an example there. You can rotate objects as well as move them. Okay. So I'll show it with this one as well. You can just click on it and be doing this from a top. I'll just click on my top in my view cube, and I'll rotate this 90. Hopefully, I can do it. Just showing you that. Right. So they're creating a simple extrusion, and from that, then, like I showed you before, you can surface or on edges or on a node, which is a point at the side of it, and you can drag them back and forth like you need, like you will need to, and make your shape. So any surface can be selected as a working plane simply by hovering over. So I'll show you that. I'm just going to go back into here. I'm going to go to my massing. In massing, I'm going to draw a simple shape. I'm just going to go to 3D and create form like that. Okay. So we have this form. Like I said, we can move it and do what we want to do. Click on an edge if we need to, and move it. Click on a node. So you have to actually hover over that point until and press tab. Excuse me, I'm pressing tab to actually select different control points on this geometry. Okay, so I have to move a little bit if I want to get that node. Just pops up there. So I was saying there about creating geometry on a face instead of a plane. So if I want to create geometry on, let's say, this face here, I want to click on what I want to draw. So I'll draw a circle, and I can here draws lines on existing surfaces instead of draw on work plane. Okay, so I can click on draw lines on it. Existing surfaces. I can see this surface is now highlighted. Now I can draw on it like so. This is directly on the edge of it, as you can see. and I'm just going to after drawing the surface, I still have to do the extra step of clicking on the actual profile I've drawn and then clicking on solid form. Okay, so when I click on solid form with this object on this shape, when I click on it, this option I get this option, do I want to actually create a sphere or just a cylinder? Okay, so I can the cylinder, and now I have this, and I can control it like I can control this. I'll just undo that, and this time I'm going to create. And just after undoing that, clicking on the profile again, create solid form, and I'm going to create a sphere. Okay, now edge of this. Now I can hover over the sphere and tab once to get it up and get it selected. So I have it selected now, and if I can just see over here in the properties of this form, we have under identity data solid void. Solid void by on the drop down and selecting void, and then just moving in and then deselecting, and we can see it now takes a chunk out of our massing object here. So you can create forms by taking but with other geometry, taking geometry out of your shapes. So you can create it like that. I can also tab through here to actually select that form again, and I can move it about if I want. So when you draw a circle, you will get options, 2 different options to use that. And I showed you can drag edges and corners to actually change your shape. Excuse me. There's splines and points we're going to have a look at now. And I'm going to go into a different environment. Now we've been working in our project environment here, okay, which the menu at the moment up in the ribbon tab is actually set to massing menu. Once I click finish into our project, okay, so it's kind of a hybrid. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up a new conceptual mass, and I'm just going to, I won't spend too much time in here, just want to give you an idea of it. So this is in the families library here, or the families template library, okay, and I want to click on conceptual mass and metric mass, and this will bring me into open up a different environment than we're used to, okay. I'm just going to show you 1 or 2 things here. I'm going to use a spline, and I'm going to make a more organic shape with it, and just apply a pattern to it and show you that it can be done. So first off, I'm going to look at it in 3D, and I want to create a shape going across this way, and I want to create 3 profiles to use as the guide for the shape. So I'm going to just go to my level 1, and I have 1 reference plane here in the middle. I want the reference plane at the top and at the bottom as well of this view, so I can actually select these reference planes as a work plane. And the way we'll do that is we click on the plane, up, and make sure we're in modify reference planes, and actually you can just create, and that will be there in the create panel. I'll just click on plane, and I'm going to draw from left to right, and below here, left to right. I'm going to click on this reference plane here, and to make this a work plane, this reference plane, so I'm just going to call this one top, and this one, yep, it's going to be called bottom. Okay. We have a reference plane that is now a work plane because we've named it, and if I want to draw on these work planes, I have to be looking at them side on as opposed to top down. And I'm going to use my south view to actually control this. Okay. Right. So I'm going to draw a spline. So I'm just going to click on this spline here. Okay. And I'm going to click on draw on work plane. Okay. And then now I want to set my work plane. I'm clicking on set. And I want to go to top first. Top, and I'm going to draw a shape. Just simple enough shape. I'll just use 3 points for that one. Now I want to set. So center front back is the middle reference plane. Two, just going to create that. Now I'm going to set again. I'm going to go to bottom. Reference plane I created. Again, I'm going to just draw that and cancel. So I can now see that I've created these reference planes on the planes that I created and the existing center plane. So now if I want to create a form between these three, I select them like so and go to solid form, and it now creates that this massing shape. So I can change it after the fact as well. I can just go along and edge here, and I just find it hard to. So that's a simple enough shape. You can obviously make them more complex. I'm just going to click on this shape, and I'm going to click on this subdivide. Divided it, and I can apply a pattern to this. So there's a few predefined patterns that we can work with, and that is a pattern that we can place onto it and use that as grids. So that's just a quick look at this conceptual massing environment. So it is a bit different to what we're used to. That's where you would make some possible massing. So I'm just going to our project again. So switch windows to this project set here. Again, I'm just going to delete this. Just seeing something here. Go to create, and you see modify. We can click on it. Let me see. Just going to delete the surface of that, and now I can click on it and X-ray. That was I was looking to control this center, and I just have to actual massing shape and click on X-ray to actually see the profiles that I've used to change it. Okay, so just get back out of there into here, and we're going to look at. I'm going to create a simple enough building using the massing tools, and we're going to put a few floors in it, and we're going to schedule out the floor area, perimeter, and volume and surface. These figures update as we change our massing form before we actually start applying finishes to it. So and after you've done that, you're happy enough with your figures in your schedule, you can then apply surfaces as in walls and curtain walls to the shape. And also you can and ceilings and or floors and roofs. So we'll have a look at that. So I'm just going to go to level 0. And like I said before, when you go up to massing and site, the first time you go to here, it will be on show mass by view settings, but we want that to be show mass form and floors. Automatically switch that when we click on in place mass. You see right? I'm going to cancel out of that. I'm going to put it back to this mass by view and in place mass. If I click on this, just keep an eye on this icon. So it's after switching on the massing, making it visible. Okay, so I'll just call this building 1. Now I'm going to start drawing. Now, if you see this, when I draw lines like this, they're black, and I'm quite used to actually seeing cyan lines when I'm drawing profiles, which is effectively what we're doing here. So I want to change my visibility graphics for this. So I'm going to go and type VG, which will bring up my visibility graphics. I'm going to go to mass and form line. I'm going to override that, accept that, and now that's something I'm more used to. Okay, so I'm just going to delete that. Now I'm going to start drawing an actual shape. So it's 35 meters. Oops. So just start that line again. So it's 35 meters by 11 meters, and then by 15 meters on the opposite side over here. 15 meters, and we join them two up. I want this to be between my actual elevations. Okay, so that is on level 0. After drawing this on level, oh, that should be up on level 4 actually. I'm going to draw what's on level 0 here. So it was actually 30 meters for this here. Make sure it's inside my elevations. 30 meters and 10 meters. 10 meters again. 10 meters. And then we just join them up. I like that. We can just have a quick look at that. That's it there. It's on the level 0. Next, we're going to go up to, well, first we're going to make this an actual form. So click on the profile and then form. And we're after getting a rectangle that's 9 meters deep. And we want to make it 5 meters deep. And we can just click on this and change it. But if you don't have it selected, if you've deselected it like that, all you have to do is, this is important to click on the actual face of this surface here, not on the edge. If you click on the edge, I click in here, change it to 5 meters, it's only going to change that edge. Okay, so you want to click on the face, so it all is highlighted. 5 meters, and that's what we want there. Okay, so now we can go to level 1. I'll just wait for, I think Revit's hung up at the moment. To level 1, and we can see our actual form, but down below is underneath there. So now I'm going to go back to the line tool. I want them to match here. I'm going to bring it across 35 meters and, like I did before, 11 meters. Bring it up 15 meters from here, and I can connect them like that. Now that's them connected. Actually fine with them there. And now I'm going to go to level 4. And draw this now. It's level 4. To draw this, was it 35 meters? by meters. Okay, so I'm drawing this form here. I want to actually have a look at this in 3D. I want be exactly above that. So I go in here and drag MV. I could have just clicked that. I'm just going to move that corner to that corner like that. I'll have a look at it in 3D. Yeah, that's what I want. So I'm just going back to level 4, and I'm going to create a kind of curved line in here, so make it a little interesting shape. So just bring it in. Just bring it in like that. We can actually join these together. So I can click on the bottom form, control click the top form like that, and then create forms, solid form, and I'm after creating a shape like this. It has a curved surface here on the front side. Okay. So before we actually click finish on this, we're after creating 2 separate forms, and there is surfaces touching each other here on the inside. I want to actually to join as one element. So I want to click on join and join geometry. Okay, so I want to, it knows that this is a shape drawn on its own, and so is this. So I can click on the bottom, on the top, and any parts where they intersect, it takes them away. So so now we have one finished form here now, and that's what we're looking to get. So I'm just going to click finish just to finish off that form and get out of the in mass. So if I just undo that, we were in this mass creation tools, and then I clicked finish, and then we're back into the project. You can see that we're in the project environment by the tabs at the top. Okay, so now we're going to do we're going to add in floors into this building, so we can add in floors, and the floors are set by, when I go to an elevation, floors are set by the levels, and we're going to set the floors by these levels here. Okay, so I'm just going to go to actually see the levels are so I'll just bring this level up, and this level, no, bring this level up there. Okay, now I'm just going to go in 3D view again, and I'm going to click on the actual form, and then there's this button here, creates a mass floor at each level defined for a mass. So if I click on that, I'm going to click 0, 1, 2, 3, and click 4 as well. Click OK, and we have now 1, 2, 3, 4 floors. Okay, and you can see that they have a different color. Now I'm going to create a schedule, and I'm going to show you what happens when you push and pull this this mass when you have a schedule. So I'm just going to go to a schedule as a view. So I'm clicking on view, schedule quantities, mass. Click I want to go to mass, and I just want to click OK to that, or mass floors, and click floor area, floor perimeter, floor volume, and area surface area. Okay, and also the level. So I want to know which level I'm looking at when I'm looking at it, and I'll bring the exterior down to the bottom. Okay, and I'll just have a quick look at this. Now we have a readout of the information there. I'm just going to, so I want the sorting grouping with grand totals, and also I have to make these totals as well. So if I click OK now, I've got a grand total of 4 levels, and then the floor area for each level and the total, and the same for perimeter, volume, and surface area. So I'm going to actually close every window down apart from the one I have open, like that. I'm just going to open up a 3D view. So now I only have my schedule and this 3D view open, and I can type WT. Concept mass open as well. I'll close that down. And here type WT. Now, if you keep an eye on the figures over here, I'm just going to grab one of these surfaces and bring it out. You can see it changes, all of them apart from the top one. Okay, and now if I click on the bottom, I can drag out this, and you can see only the top changes. Okay. Let me see floor volume. If you see the floor volume here, it's going to undo what I did there. Click on this floor. So this is level, I think it's level 3. Yeah, it's level 3. Okay, so click on level 3. You can see the floor volume is 1,224 meters cubed. But if I delete this floor, you'll see level 3 disappear, but this figure stays the same. So it is actually calculating everything as it should be. So you can have a brief with your actual floor required floor areas, and you can work it out roughly with a conceptual or with a massing object, and you can get quite accurate figures here. Okay, so after you're happy enough with that, we want to actually start building up a building here, so we can start looking at it and building up this the detail in, or the building in more detail. And we want to go to massing and site again, and now I'm going to click on floor. So click on floor. What we're going to do is actually select the different levels and then create a floor. And at the moment we only have concept 300, which is fine. So I'm just going to excuse me. It's going to select. As you can see, multiple select, and you have multiple select and clear select. As soon as you have all your floors selected, you click create floors. So I just want to make sure multiple select is the option I have. Floor. It created the floors for me. So so it's after creating them 4 floors, I can now create the walls with the same process. I click on the walls, and knows that it's this face, and if you can see, it's actually putting it on the outside of that mass. Okay, it's putting it on the outside, and that is due to, if I go to here, location line, exterior. On the inside, you can see the floor is actually being cut by the wall. Just be aware that your location line does actually have an effect with where your wall is going to be placed on your mass, or in relation to your mass. Okay, so let me see, I can go by interior, the outside, so it's not intruding on my actual finished floor area. So I'm just clicking through on these walls. With them walls done, I want to click on have them done. Now I can do the same with the roof. And click on modify, get out of there, and I'm just going to click on roof, and basic concept 400. I can just go with that. Click on the roof, create roof, and it created roofers. And now finally we're just going to add on a across here, or curtain system across here. So I can click on, I'll just click on curtain system, this, create system, and it created a system like this. Now I'm just going to undo that, do it again. I clicked on curtain system, I clicked on this face, okay, and at the moment it's going to create this system here, which is 2 meters by 2 meters. And if you wanted to create that, you could go into edit type and change what you needed within here before. So I could make this 3 meters by, I want to actually rename this 100. It was 3 meters by 1500. Okay, and it's now actually a different shape to what we had. And that is a quick look at actually creating your massing object. So I'm just going to click on, I want to actually mass object in this view, and type VG, and I turn that off, apply, and it's after turning the massing off so it doesn't complicate it and makes it a little bit easier to see what needs to be fixed up. You can go in there and fix it up and tell these walls here, this wall and this wall, to actually attach to the base of this instead of cutting through. So that's now fixed up a bit better there. So I'm just going to go back to this slide here. I'm going to load in an actual file and create a topo surface, and that would be helpful to do. I'm just going to do it once. I'm not going to get into it and in too much detail. I'm just going to show you that you can do it, and then I'll just do that now. So I'm going to go to level 0. I'm going to go to insert link CAD. CAD and link CAD. I have to find, I think it's on my here. Load in a site. Give me a sec. And we can see there's a large site here that I would like to actually turn into a terrain. So I can have a look at this in 3D. You can see it's actually got contours on it that we could use. So I'm just going to go to, again, massing in site. Import, so I've already imported it, so I want to select import instance, and that is this element here. Now I've got loads of different layers within this file. I want to check none, and I think it's existing. I'll just click OK, and yeah, it's after creating a topo surface that actually relates to that. And it's cutting through our building at the moment. I can just turn off this building at the moment if I like. I'll just this. Oh, I finished my topo surface. I'll just hide this and I'll check all and hide it. Just quickly creating a topo surface. You can put trees and foliage on this if you want, and put a building pad on it. So let me see. Anybody has any questions, you can. I'm just going to unmute everyone. You can type it into the chat box if you want.